Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. And welcome back, everyone. Such a beautiful destination for a vacation, but also for a wedding, vow renewal. I'm talking about Hawaii. And it's a lot easier when you got support, somebody that can help you along with your celebration. And she's done it hundreds and hundreds of times. Simple Kona Beach Weddings is what she's all about. And she is our professional of the year. Becky Ringler is back with us. How you doing today?
I'm good, Steve. Thanks. I'm glad to be here. It's always fun to chat about what I do. I love what I do. And it's really fun to be able to share a little bit more so people feel a little more educated. Because I feel like doing a destination wedding is scary enough. And it's really nice to feel like, oh, okay, this is what to expect. Or in my case, like, if you work with me, like, oh, okay, I have someone on the other side who's there to help me. So, yeah, glad to be here.
And it's always fun every time we get together because this is such a positive experience. There's so much love, excitement going on here. Just going on vacation to a tropical, beautiful place like Hawaii is fantastic. Now, start a new life there. We have an email from the last time we got together. Can we start with that?
Yeah, okay. Let's do that.
This is Dawn from St. Augustine, Florida. She says, I want to be sure my wedding photos will look great. Can you offer some suggestions? And do you have photographers available?
So many suggestions. And of course, yes. So in my case, obviously, if you work with me, I have a bunch of photographers that I recommend. And I don't typically include it in a custom package, although I can. And I have one like close in option where photography is included. But the reason that I don't typically include it is because I feel like photography is really personal, right? Everyone has a different style, a different kind of look they're going for. And there are a lot of really excellent photographers here on island. I have a handful that I tend to work with over and over that seem to kind of mesh. The people that I work with tend to really like their style, and I love working with them as well. So I have about, I would say, 10 people on my list. If we do a custom wedding, we go over the options together. I have you look at who feels good. We keep in mind budget, your style, how many photos you want. And then I get quotes, check availability, get quotes for you. So that way you feel, this is a trusted person. This is somebody that you're like, I know them. I know they're going to show up. I know they're going to deliver. So you can feel sure anybody on my list is somebody great. But in terms of your photos, the one thing that we want to think about is time of day. And also, of course, if you have a good photographer, you don't need to worry about, are they going to look good? Because it's all about positioning you in the right way, making sure you feel comfortable. That's the other thing you want to make sure when you're choosing a photographer that you pick a personality. So when I'm recommending people to my couples, I always think about their personality. Are they really shy? Are they really outgoing? Do they need someone to bring them out of their shell? Like, what would make them feel good? But lighting is a huge deal. A lot of people are like, oh, I want the morning, because everyone thinks about a morning wedding, right? And I will do morning weddings, but really early, like 8:30, but not so early because we're not on the sunrise side of the island, so we don't do that. But I'll guess, although the water is very blue, your photos are going to be harsh. The lighting is harsh. A lot of my photographers say they hate shooting in the morning just because it's hard to get a lot of really great shots. Whereas when we do it around sunset, the light just gets better and better and better as the sun goes down. Everyone looks great in that golden sunset light. A good photographer will always be able to capture you the right way regardless. But I always say, like, let's hedge your bets and get you the best time of day. So those are some things also that really matter.
I love the fact that you're just honest about everything. So, if somebody's like, I really want to do it in the morning, I want 11 a.m. No, not a good idea.
I just say no.
Well,
I mean,
you'll advise against it based on your experience. And if somebody's steadfast, the cruise ship's coming in at that time and we got to do it then, okay.
Yeah, if it has to be, like, if it is our flight's leaving Can we do it at 11? Of course, we will make it happen. I just let them know, like, hey, be prepared. Like certain things are not going to be as great in terms of photos or in terms of lighting. And sometimes it doesn't matter, right? Nobody cares. Like there's an urgency, and then that's fine. It just depends on what's the most important thing. If it's like, we don't care, just recommend the best time of day, then I will give you that. But certainly, like you say, Steve, if there's an extenuating circumstance, or you're doing it at a property that has lots of shade, totally fine. So yeah.
Yeah, well, you give us the information, we make the decision, but your information is based on your long history and everything along the way. And I just want to share one thing. 20 years ago, got married in the Caribbean and worked with somebody like yourself, but it wasn't you. I'll just say that. Communication wasn't the greatest and didn't know any better. So I said, pick a photographer. They set it all up. It was 20 years ago. It's not that far back in terms of technology. I mean, digital cameras were everywhere for years. I had like 4 of them, okay. And you took pictures on your phone, but you also had cameras, which, by the way, laughingly are back now. If you look, young people, they're all walking around with those, digital cameras and not using their phone. But anyway, the photos were taken by a photographer using film. Nothing wrong with that, except when they printed the pictures, there were scratches on the negatives. There was dust on the negatives. It just did not look good. I'm just going to say that. So had no connection to the photographer, assumed that, this person that was facilitating, picked the right people for it. Wasn't the situation. You're different. You're different. Your name is on it. You are very particular about it. You're not going to suggest any photographer that you don't feel confident enough in using, even for your own wedding, if you were, whatever it may be. And that's the difference. And you can even give examples of different vendors and we can pick it. There's lots of variables.
Yeah. And I really want people to, the other thing is like occasionally I have someone say who's new to my list. I've seen their work. I think they're really good. And sometimes the thing about this person is maybe they're less expensive because they're just getting started. So I will always tell somebody if they're looking for something, maybe less expensive, their budget is tight. I'll say, look, this is someone new to my list. I've seen their work. I know that they're responsive and responsible, but, they're new. So we're going to have to see, if you're willing to take that risk. And I show them what I also have seen of their work. And if they decide to use them, then we are all on the same page. But otherwise, I feel like anybody else that I've worked with for years, like I know they're going to get a good product. I know they're going to be happy. Because it is, it's my recommendation, right? So I feel like I'm really responsible for what you get. And I think that's so important. And even when I'm talking with people, I'll say like, okay, this person, you're going to get a lot of prints or you get a lot of images. And this person, maybe you're only going to get a handful, but they're all like frameable. And they all have different types of things that are a plus depending on what you're looking for. But I can't even imagine Steve getting back things that are just ruined. Like, I mean, that just feels horrible because it's a once in a lifetime kind of thing.
Yeah.
And if somebody, by the way, brings their own photographer or chooses somebody, they just, I found someone on my own. That doesn't happen very often, but occasionally somebody will already have found somebody. If I haven't worked with them, I'll say, okay, I'm not familiar with them or I've never worked with them before. So it's kind of like, choose your own risk. Now, if they're fantastic, they make my list. It depends because we do have new people all the time. But the one thing I will say is we have tons of great photographers right here on the Big Island. So there's no need to like fly anybody in from somewhere else unless you have followed that person forever or it's your hometown person and you really want to bring them. Okay, but trust that we have good people here that are really excellent, that are experts in this area, experts at taking photos at sunset, which is a very particular skill, FYI.
Okay, fair enough. By the way, instant feedback, steve@gmail.com. If you have a question or a comment, or 631-319-0009. 6275 if you want to check in. So let's say you're bringing guests, or maybe you're coming alone, and you want to do stuff. I'm in Hawaii. There's so much going on there. Can you make suggestions of different things to do? And if so, what could some of those things be?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, part of the best thing about coming to Hawaii for your wedding is that you can have a honeymoon here as well, or just an adventure time, right? So I have many suggestions. I also have people that I work with that can help set everything up for you, and they're of no cost to my couples, which is wonderful. But I mean, we have so many cool things. My favorite thing that I don't think you can do, I think this is one of the only places in the world that you can do it. You can snorkel with the manta rays. So at nighttime. So it's a super cool, there's so many different ways to do that. That you can, canoe out, you can take an outrigger, you can get on a big boat that travels at sunset. A lot of people get seasick on that one. And that's a lot of people on a boat. So it depends on the number of people, but there is nothing more magical than snorkeling with the manta rays at nighttime because they're so huge and beautiful. Have you ever seen that, Steve? Do you know what that's like?
I have swam with rays, but never thought of it at night. Like, whoa, like magic.
So the manta rays are different from like the eagle rays or something. Manta rays can have like a 12 to 20 foot wingspan. They're just enormous. And, they have these huge mouths that open and they scoop up the plankton at nighttime. And they get really close to you. They'll sometimes like flip up and like, I want to say like smear you, but they don't, you're not supposed to touch them. But if they touch you, that's their prerogative. They're just magical. And you do it at night and there's nothing. I've done it a couple of times now. We did it actually a couple nights before our own wedding. For those of you that don't know, my husband and I got married here before we lived here. So I was also a destination bride. And it was one of the coolest things we did as a group. Everybody went, except for my dad, who is now almost 95. And my husband's mother, who is afraid of the water. So other than them, everybody came, all of our friends and my, our parents, and it was super cool. I mean, it's a really magical experience.
Magical is the best word. There it is. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I can't even imagine what that was like. I believe we have a call. Hi, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. It's Kamara. How you doing?
Kamara, that's an interesting name. That's different. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I was just tuning in, and I was curious because we're thinking about doing a destination wedding too. And how would you acquire a marriage license in Hawaii? Do you know what the process is?
Yes, I do. I recommend it all the time. So basically, just so you know, like, Kamara, if you were working with me, I have full marriage license instructions. I guide you. I help you set up your marriage license appointment, all the stuff. But basically, you're going to apply online. Then they give you, if you're working with somebody, they're going to help you find the right person, help you set an appointment. If you're doing it yourself, after you apply online, they give you a list of marriage license agents, and then you call to set an appointment with them. So you and your fiance have to appear together at the marriage license agent's office. You need to bring your photo IDs, and there's a small cash fee that you have to give them as well. That is a state regulation. It's weird. Like, you pay when you do the thing, and then you have to give them cash. It's all part of that is an actual thing, just so you know. So you're not getting ripped off. This is just part of the process. And then you get the marriage license from the marriage license agent, and you have to bring it with you to your wedding, and then your officiant signs it and files it for you. So
now, are you an officiant as well?
I am. Yep. So I plan, coordinate, and officiate. So I do all of those things. And I find it really fun, actually, because I feel like I know my couples by the time we get there. So it's not some stranger marrying them.
It's personal. Right. I get it. Yeah. I like that.
That is like, so basically, Becky, you can take care of pretty much everything except getting the marriage license, where the couple has to physically appear in person at some office, I guess in town or whatever it might be.
Right. And they can't pay me to do, like, you have to apply yourself. Obviously, there's a ton of personal information on there, your parents' information, their birthplace, like lots of stuff. And by the way, Kamara, if there's anything in your history that they ask you for that you don't know, You can write unknown or give your best guess.
Okay.
That kind of stuff. Sometimes people don't know maybe who one of their birth parents is, or they don't know where they were born.
Yeah, her father died, and she doesn't know his background.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and that's okay. If you're not sure, you put unknown, or you see if you can find the information and you put it there. But otherwise, you are allowed to put unknown if you're not sure. Okay?
Cool. All right.
Don't worry. I greatly appreciate the information. It helps a lot.
Good.
Thanks for
You're
checking
welcome.
in. Appreciate it. Wow. Is there a possibility that you could do the marriage license virtually? Would they ever allow that?
No,
Okay.
that's not allowed. You have to appear in person.
Yeah.
So they don't, just to make sure that you're really here in Hawaii. So you do need to appear in person. We do have, finally, we're getting more. We had, for a while, we only had like 3 marriage license agents on the whole island. COVID, we lost a bunch of people. Now we have more. And again, we have several, thank goodness, we have several on this side, a couple in Hilo. And then, by the way, if you happen to be on another island before coming here, you can pick up your marriage license on any other Hawaiian island. We're all the same state. So you can pick it up if you happen to be in Oahu first and you want to just like get it done when you're there and not here, you can. So there's lots of, ability there.
But bottom line here is that you need to budget the time for that, be it at least, I don't want to say a day. It's not going to take you a full day, but
oh no,
you're not doing your marriage license in the morning, getting married in the afternoon. Could you pull that off? Maybe. You could.
By the way, you could do that. There is no waiting time in the state of Hawaii, which is something good for people to know. So if you like spur of the moment decide, as long as you can get an appointment with the marriage license agent, you can do it the same day. You could literally walk from the marriage license agent's office to your wedding, but I always, typically when I do it, if I'm meeting the couple ahead of time, a couple days before their wedding at their wedding beach, I plan it for right after that meeting so that their businessy stuff is all done at one time. The appointment itself takes like 15 minutes. It's not a long appointment, but it's like getting there and just the time it takes. Interesting fact, I don't remember getting my marriage license at all. I have a total blank. I don't remember who we saw. I don't remember picking it up.
Wow.
But we got it.
Wow. So, how far away is the marriage license office from the beaches or, maybe one of the beaches where you would do a ceremony?
So I do have, there's one marriage license agent I work with who is no longer on the public list, but she will still take appointments for me. And she is literally right next door to a lot of the beaches that I work with or work on. So we try to arrange, if it's one of those beaches, then we try to arrange it so that she can see them right afterwards. So it's a 15-minute, as a crow flies, it's like 5 minutes, but you have to like drive around and then drive around. And so it's like 15 minutes away.
So you really could get it done in the morning and then do your, an late afternoon wedding, something like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, beautiful. What would you consider as a large party where you are, in terms of the gathering? What are we talking about here?
Yeah. So people are always like, oh, it's just a small wedding. It's 35 or 40 people. And like, whoa, dude, that's big. Like for a beach wedding, that is very big in Hawaii. You can do technically up to 30, budget to 35. That's really pushing it on a public beach. Otherwise, you need to rent a venue and then your budget expands hugely. But that depends. Some people really want a venue. They want everyone to be seated. They want the traditional thing. And then you go to a hotel or you can rent a venue and that can happen. But otherwise, if you want like the more casual beach wedding feel, you want to keep it really to under 30. And there's many reasons for that. And honestly, the fewer people, the better. I say that from my bride and groom's perspective, because when they have large parties, they tend to be more stressed out about their guests. They always say, I'm like not worried about the wedding. It's all my people that I have to manage, all these energies and all that stuff. But the other thing is we don't have so when people think of their post-wedding celebration, you can go, again, if you want the more traditional route, you're going to want to rent a venue anyway. If you want like a DJ and dancing and like all the stuff, do that at a hotel. There's also a couple private venues that you can do that. Those are not the types of weddings that I typically do. Most of the time, people just want like a really nice dinner afterwards in a gorgeous location. They're almost all outdoors. But the limit for most of those places is 30 people total, not your guest, but everybody. So
Wow.
That's sort of why I say, like, because you can't just like go out to dinner with that many people in Kona. Like, I think the limit to going out to dinner just without it being an event is like 15 people. All of our places are pretty small. And then it becomes a thing, right? You need to rent a space or you need to have a special private dinner or something like that. So these are all things to keep in mind. Yeah.
So I would imagine if you've got physically challenged people in your party or elderly people, maybe you might, your choice, but maybe you might gravitate away from doing it on the beach. But you could certainly do it at a venue and somebody could use your services or, like you said, rent a private residence, right?
Yep. Oh, yeah. And also, we do the beaches that I use. If people, I always ask, is there anybody elderly in the group? Is there anybody that needs some assistance? We have beaches and locations where you can. It's literally like right off a sidewalk, although you wouldn't know it from the photos, right? So the beach location is right off, it's like so spectacularly beautiful, but very easy access. Also, we are permitted to have chairs for elderly or disabled people, so that is permitted. I also have a place that rents walkers and wheelchairs that I use. So if people need to rent something when they arrive, they have great things. There's even some that like are sand friendly. But typically we try to avoid any place where there might be a lot of walking over sand if there are people that have some, mobility issues. But many times we have had people, and it's not a problem, as long as you communicate that with me ahead of time. And I try to always ask when we're looking at locations. And usually people tell me like, oh, my parents or my grandparents are going to be here. Or my parents are, again, I tend to do some, a lot of my weddings are older. I don't want to say older. I'm usually older than them, but older couples, meaning they're not 25, right? So they're in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and their parents may be pretty elderly. And again, my dad is 15 years older than my mom, and he is almost 95. He's in great shape, but I am very familiar with what mobility can look like. Sure. I'm very sensitive to that as well.
Can we focus for a moment on the ceremony specific to Hawaii? Like, for example, I think you mentioned once a shell tribute, a Hawaiian shell tribute. Tell us about that.
So the conch shell, I build a conch shell at the start of the ceremony. And
all right. Talk about traditional. You've seen that on TV, and movies.
Long ago and far away, I played the French horn in middle school and high school. And I guess I started in elementary school, but it has made me a very good conch shell player. So, and for a while I had a conch shell that we got in Key West when, as a teenager, we traveled down to Florida. I got my conch shell then, and then I left it on the beach one day many years ago, and it was so sad. And of course, it wasn't there the next day. So I got a new one, and sometimes I wake up at night, did I pack my shell? Did I pack my bowl from the beach? But I have a system now. But anyway, you blow the conch shell in the 4 directions, north, south, east, west. And it calls in the elements of earth, air, fire, and water as part of that. Also, if God is in your ceremony, it does call in the presence of God. And it's just a really beautiful way to start the ceremony. People are always surprised at how loud it is. It's loud. It's beautiful.
Wow.
It really focuses the ceremony. Like, we're beginning now.
I can see that setting the stage for the tradition of why you're there in the first place. I'm going to pause for just a moment and get back to traditions in just a second. I think we have another call. Can you hear us?
Yes. Hello.
Hey there. Who's this?
My name is Donna. How are you?
Donna's checking in from Freehold, New Jersey. You got a question for Becky?
I do. Thank you so much for taking my call. I appreciate it. Becky, my dad was a police officer, and he played the bagpipes. Unfortunately, he passed away 6 years ago, and we have a piper at every family celebration. We're planning one later this summer. Can bagpiping be done on the beach?
I mean, I would assume so. If you have your bagpipes, I don't know any bagpipers here.
Okay.
But I think this doesn't mean there isn't somebody, but I have never heard that. To my knowledge, there is no like regulation against it because I think it would be so
Right.
rare that anybody would do it. As long as it's not like for an hour, as long as it's like a few minutes, I think it would be totally fine.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's what it usually is. And I was so excited to be able to ask this question. I know I have to look into it more, but thank you so much.
Yeah,
Interesting.
that sounds really fun. And by the way, I doubt that there would be a restriction against it because I think it would be so rare that no one would pass a law. So,
Can you imagine? Can you imagine? There's a law in the books in Kona where bagpipers will not perform on any public beach. I mean,
Right.
wow. All right,
I think
Donna.
it'll be okay, Donna. And I say just
Okay.
be respectful as you might normally be, and should probably be okay.
Cool. All right.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sure.
Bye. I mean, listen, you can blow a conch shell. You can do the bagpipes for 3 minutes. Come on.
I think so. Yeah, I would think so.
All right, back to tradition. It's so classic Hawaiian, the leis.
Yeah.
Are they always worn? What can you tell us?
Yeah, so there is a lei exchange during the ceremony, meaning that the groom will put the bride's lei on her during the ceremony, and the bride will put the groom's lei on him during the ceremony. It's sometimes my couples are like, I think it's going to ruin my dress. I can tell you right now, a lei never ruins any dress. They are so beautiful. And the ceremony itself is such a beautiful part of the ceremony. And I tell people, like, if you're not sure, we can do a very simple, delicate lei, and you don't have to wear it afterwards for pictures if you don't want to. But most people are very excited. And I can even show some photos of leis and things. I know we looked at my Instagram before, but I have a lot of great lei examples on there, as well as bouquets and things, if you want to take a look in a little bit. But
Wow.
but yeah, the flowers. The one thing I will tell people always ask what colors. Oh, I love blue. There are no blue flowers in Hawaii. People will say, oh, I love those blue orchids. Those orchids are Sonia orchids, which are purple and white orchids dyed blue. And I never recommend them because they can actually stain your dress. So that
I knew that was coming.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
that's the difference. This is authentic. It's not like you or Becky are going to the party store and getting the plastic or paperish leis. This is real flowers,
yeah,
right? The real deal, as it should be.
yeah.
Wow. And what does that do? All the guests do the leis, or that's just the
So
couple?
I always ask the couple. I think it is a really nice touch. Most people do it for their guests or for just family, or maybe if they have a wedding party, just the wedding party. But I can tell you, like, when people don't get them, and some people get them, they're like, oh, I don't get one. Or do I get one? Even the men, like, even, like, hey, do I get a lei? Like, that smells really good. Like, it's really cute. It's a really special experience to get a lei, a fresh flower lei in Hawaii. They smell amazing. They look beautiful. It's a really nice touch. Yes, it does add to the cost, right? So if you're on a budget, maybe that's not something that you would do. But they're really special. And I think it's really a nice thing to be able to give all of your guests that. And there's also, by the way, there are like kukui nut leis, which are actually, I have one right here, Steve. I keep one by my desk. So this one is
look at that.
kukui nut with shells, right? So usually they're just the black nuts, but they also, you can have them with shells if you want. Also, these come in like brown. There's like a zebra color. There's kind of a blonde nut. And these are actual kukui nuts, but they're lacquered. So that's why they're shiny and black. So they're lacquered, like kind of like Japanese lacquer style. And there's also shell leis. So like, it's funny, I keep a lot of these things by my desk, like they're just decorations, but like a shell leis. So you can also do shell leis for people. If you're just trying to, most people don't do that, but if you want to get something for people, but you want to keep the budget down, that's another. These are great little, kukui nuts are regular, but the shell leis are very reasonable.
Well, it also addresses a few things. If somebody's afraid that it might stain their dress or their clothes, and or allergic to flowers, don't want to see whatever it might be. There are options there. You mentioned lava rock, and the wedding could be done on lava as opposed to sand on a beach. Does lava play a role in anything else connected to a Kona wedding?
Yeah. So here in Hawaii, we often, I always have a couple pick out a lava rock. Especially here on this island, there's a lot of lava everywhere. You can usually find it on any beach. And I have them pick out a lava rock about the size of a baseball or a softball to use during the ceremony. I wrap it in a tea leaf. I explain the meaning during the ceremony. I don't want to give everything away, but I have them hold it during their I do's. It holds a lot of things, again, which I explain. And then afterwards, I have them unwrap the rock and throw it into the ocean. So I don't want to give away all the secret sauce, but yes. So lava plays a big part in the ceremony, and also it makes it amazing. We have these beautiful, at some of our beaches, we have these beautiful flat lava shelves that are wonderful to stand on. And also, side note, they're not hot. Like if you step on it barefoot, lava is actually quite porous. So it's warm, but it's not hot. The sand can be much hotter. Our lava is just comfortably warm to stand on barefoot. So
yeah, that's good to know. These things.
I mean, not like molten lava, but like the dried lava that we would be doing a ceremony on.
Yeah, and I've had in my yard lava rocks. They're decorative. There's wow. What about hair and makeup?
Yeah,
you have that available if somebody is asking.
Yeah,
for it?
I have again a bunch of people that I work with on a regular basis who are spectacular. And for a while, I had like one person on my list. There are a lot of talented people, but not everybody shows up on time. Not everybody is as professional as I wish that they would be. And so the people that I have on my list are always on time. They're always amazing. They're always great communicators. They do a beautiful job. Everybody's always so happy. And so I have trusted resources for that. Because I think it's really important. Like hair and makeup is a big deal. And a lot of my brides are like, hey, I don't wear a lot of makeup. I want to look really natural. I would say that is the trend here. You want to look like yourself, like you're not wearing makeup, but like you like the best version of yourself that's so natural. And that is what our makeup artists are really great at doing. Obviously, if you want full glam, they can do that. But most of the time, people want to be a little more natural, but really just glowy and beautiful, and they do a great job with that for sure.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you are the resource. This is why somebody's going to use you. You've vetted these people out. If somebody's thinking, I'm just going to go to Hawaii and I'll find somebody and I'll just kind of wing it.
It's really hard.
It's really hard. Yeah.
I really know. A fun makeup story, actually. I had a bride who she got really overheated on her wedding day, and she had like a little personal fan, and she was very hot, and I was helping her blot, and then she was crying at one point, and there was all these things. Her makeup was flawless the entire time, and I told the hair and makeup gal, I'm like, whatever you did, like spot on, it was perfect, because nothing happened to her makeup. She just still looked gorgeous with all the stuff going on. So that is, to me, that says a lot about the people that you're working with. But it is really hard. If you wing it here, or if you're like, I need the cheapest thing, well, you're going to get the cheapest thing, is what I'm going to tell you right now.
You're taking a risk. And you're giving up what I would call the safety net. So you're the safety net. If something goes wrong, or you have a question, or things change, plans change, you're the go-to.
Yeah.
You're the resource person. Without that, you got your phone. It's called Google, and
Right.
You don't know what you're getting with that. When we talk about these locations on the beach, and if I remember correctly, you have 3 that you like to rotate that best suit the ceremony and the couple. Do you have to get permits yourself to use those beaches?
I get permits for them. So there's permits for the beaches. None of my couples have to worry about that. You have to have special insurance. You have to be registered with the state. It is really a big pain to do it yourself, and I just take care of that for my couple so they don't have to worry about it. That also covers them. God forbid, I have a lot of liability insurance, of course, as well. But when you do the permit, some people are like, whatever, I don't need a permit. They're not going to catch me. It's not about being caught. If something, God forbid, happens, somebody injures themselves, something occurs, then you're covered legally as well. Like you're,
Wow.
you're protected. And that it's not about getting caught. It is, although that can happen in some locations, they will check your permit. You always want to have that ready. But the main reason is also just in case, again, it's like carrying an umbrella that you don't need, just making sure so that way your couples are safe and protected if something should go awry. And I'm protected as a business, of course. So
I just want to go back over that real quick. So when you get a permit, you pay the fee, whatever it is. Is that included in the couple's fee to you, or is that a separate fee that they pay?
I just include it. So
Okay.
It's all covered. So it's included in their fee to me. They don't have to worry about it. I will get it
Okay.
for them.
And when that permit is obtained, does that mean, like, let's say Aunt May tripped on some lava rock and shattered her femur, right? Insurance-wise,
Let's hope not. Okay,
I know.
but
I don't put that in the universe. I'm just, hypothetical people.
yeah.
Are they covered?
Yeah, they should be. There's liability insurance. I have liability insurance, and then it covers the state, is often the state, and occasionally there's a private location. They're named as an additional insured so that location can't be sued or the state can't be sued. So everybody's covered in that particular instance, should something go awry, which is really important. I had a bride many, many years ago trip on her dress. I always have a little first aid kit also. I have Band-Aids and, sprays and creams, like a little nurse. I have things just in case someone hurts themselves. I'm always be prepared with that stuff. It's part of my wedding bag, but yeah.
Why would you not, as somebody going to another state, really feels like a country, right? Without having this backup, I just couldn't. I wouldn't, especially with an event like this. You want it to be as perfect as it can be, and have all the bases covered. What are some of the other things? Anything else standing that we haven't hit upon that we should?
I feel like, when we were talking about traditions, this is kind of going back to that conversation. One of the things that I do is I do a Hawaiian ring blessing. It's probably there's a little Hawaiian phrase that I say and I translate it as well. I've said this before, I'm not going to chant or do certain things. Those are things to me really reserved for a Native Hawaiian. The ring blessing is something. Any of the Hawaiian traditions that I do are done very respectfully. Again, my Hawaiian friends that participate in various ways, and musicians, etc., love my ceremony. They think I really honor and respect, and so I really try to do that. But I'm not going to overstep and do something that I feel like would be really cheesy. These are meant to really deepen your ceremony. And the Hawaiian ring blessing is really special. Plus the fact. So, by the way, I have you put your bowl of rings in a bowl of ocean water before the ceremony starts, or if you have a ring bearer, they do that beforehand. Or if you have people that you want to have a job, they do it before the ceremony so that no one is flinging rings around that might get lost in the lava or in the sand or whatever. So it's a really cool part of the ceremony. So, yeah, I think that kind of stuff is really important. And the other thing that I will say, I was talking to someone the other day, a photographer, who talked about there are people here that will marry you, and literally they don't care. They will show up, read from a book with no emotion, close the book, and leave. So you get what you pay for, if that's what you want. But again, my job, I care. Your ceremony means something to me. It's going to be beautiful. And it's always surprising to me when people say, that's the best ceremony I've ever been to anywhere. And I think, gosh, I feel like a lot of people don't care when they do them. And maybe that's my theater background, but my therapy background or something. But it's a sacred moment, and it should be fun, and it should be lovely, and all the things that you hope your ceremony should be. Your ceremony, to me, should mean something. So it means something to me. And so, yeah.
Well, you've done hundreds of these, but I have to believe that every single one is special because every single one is uniquely different. Somebody could pick out the same thing, show up in the same dress, pick up the same, lays from you, but it's different because it's a different couple and a different family, and everything's different. So, and
personalities are different. The mood is different. Like sometimes people are very it's very serious. I'm not typically very serious, but if I sense that this couple is like a really not make jokes during their ceremony, and some people are super lighthearted, or I would say most of my couples are a little more on the lighthearted side. So, but usually it's a combination between both intimate and enjoyable. It should always be enjoyable, but sometimes it's lighthearted. It just depends. And sometimes my couples make jokes during the middle of the ceremony, whatever. We handle it. But like you say, it's always different because each couple is different. So of course it's going to have a different flair, a different feeling. So that's what makes it fun.
What about the difference between the wedding and the vow renewal? Are they radically different overall, or you may walk up to a vow renewal like I'm strolling the beach. Hey, something going on over there. I might not even know the difference.
No, there are parts of the vow renewal. Parts of the vow renewal ceremony that are really different, but the crux of it is the same, right? So certain vows are different, and certain things I say are different. And sometimes I'd say the biggest difference is a couple weeks ago, for instance, I had 50th wedding anniversary vow renewal for a couple. Their kids set it up. It was awesome. Such a lovely family. But for the vows, I would say that this is a part, I do have vow renewal vows, but most of the time for a vow renewal, the couple wants to write their own. And I learned so much about their lives. So often it's kind of in this case, the dad talked about their entire love story and how he courted the mom and then all the things they went through. And it was like this, I feel like it's a great chance for them to, especially if it's like a 50th wedding anniversary vow renewal, there is a lot of history for the family to know and a moment to cherish. But occasionally I do a 5-year wedding anniversary vow renewal or something. And those, sometimes it's people traveling around the world and they do a vow renewal every 5 years, some different location. Sometimes it's someone's had, maybe has been very sick and they want to, renew their vows, or their marriage has had some trouble and they want to recommit to each other. So they're a really different feeling in terms of the, those can be as varied as the weddings. In terms of what's the meaning of the vow renewal? Is it just something fun, or does it have a very deep significance? And then the vows themselves really create the moment. So you may from afar not be able to tell, but inside the rest of us can feel it because the substance is a little bit different, or the feeling is a little bit different. So
I have to imagine that you talk to couples years later, or they check in with you and you have that, personal connection to them. Does that happen a lot?
Yeah. I have people that I've stayed in touch with I've been doing this 10 years now. I have couples that we become good friends. When they come back to Kona, we see them, or people we stay in touch on social media, which is great. I've done vow renewals for people that I married, which is really fun. That's always a really special moment when we get to do, and sometimes it's now we have a child and we want them to be a part of the, last year I did a vow renewal for a couple I married they came from the Netherlands, and their daughter was conceived on their honeymoon right after their wedding. So the daughter was with them this time and got to be part of the wedding, and the vow renewal. It was really cool. Yeah, it's a really special experience to just have this connection with people and just stay in touch. Some people stay in touch more than others, but it's a really lovely. It's really special to be a part of their day and to be a part of that memory for them. So yeah.
Well, I need to share this, and we haven't done this, but you have so many great reviews. You are a Wedding Wire Couples Choice Award winner from 2017 on every single year. The Best of award from the Knot pretty much, I think I count it every year. There's a reason. You care. And people pick up on that. I've never asked you this, but I always wondered where you do the weddings, and there's, like you said, a couple of different beaches. How far away is that from where you live?
Oh, like they're all like, I would say like 15 to 30 minutes away or so, typically. So like, okay, so this is the view from my lanai. For those of you that can see me, the Kona airport's right there. And the weddings are either one direction or the other up the road. So you have to go down the hill and then obviously to the ocean. So they're all, I know exactly the timing, how long it takes to get exactly to get to most places. And then if I have to stop at the flower guy, the guy who does all my loose blooms and my simple lays on the way, he's like on the way down the hill. He has a farm that's conveniently on the way. So I have everything timed pretty well, with the exception of an accident or some like super slow person on the road. I know how long it's going to take. So not very far from my house. Occasionally, we do weddings further up north, which will be 45 minutes or so. Usually we don't do too many down south unless it's at a private residence because it can be rainier. The further south you go down the coast, it's a little more rainy. So I don't typically recommend those beaches. So
how do you pilot your life? So here you're at the beck and call. Almost said Becky. The beck and call of people that are changing their lives. You got a life too. So how do you schedule time for let's say you want to go on vacation? Do you just block that time out and you say, yeah, well, that's the way it is. We're not going to be around for that week.
Yeah, and usually we take one big trip over the year. Right now, anyway, our main trip has been to see our parents on the East Coast. So I'm originally from upstate New York, so we go there. And my husband's mom is now down in Florida, so we spend about 3 weeks over the holidays. So we leave like mid to late December before Christmas, and then we come back like kind of mid-January. So that is a big time. People do come over the holidays here, but it is worth it for us. It's the one time where also other people are on vacation in our family that we can see, which is really nice. So that's kind of like our big sojourn back. And then I usually tell my couples if there's any coming up, like, hey, I'm going to be away. I will be periodically checking my email, but if it's urgent, write urgent in the subject line. Otherwise, I will get back to you when I can. And I finally, I do have a calendar where I schedule calls so that way, I can set that time and block time off if I need to. We love to, especially in the summer, we are huge swimmers, so we swim as many times a week as we can. We also have a little thing, Steve, where we collect lobster molts. So we have all these like lobsters. I don't know if you know this or not, but they molt out of the center of their shell. And they leave sometimes they leave the entire shell. It looks like just like a lobster, only it's empty behind. And we collect them.
Wow.
So we like to dive and collect those, and our house is filled with them. I would love to like sell them on Etsy or something, but they're so delicate. I don't know if they would survive a mailing because they're very fragile and they're so beautiful. It's kind of surprising how gorgeous lobsters are. But
I believe horseshoe crabs do the same exact thing. We got them here, on the beaches or whatever, and sometimes they'll see them and like, oh, that's really cool. Now you got married there. You did not live there at that time. And we're going back roughly like 2012-ish, around there, if I remember correctly.
No, 2008.
2008. Okay. Mm-hmm. What was the pivotal moment where you made the decision to be somebody to help others get married on Hawaii? What changed there? Well,
I mean, part of it was we moved here to Hawaii in 2013. Was it 2013.
Okay, that's I was trying to figure out why I was like 2012, 2013.
We moved here in 2013.
Okay.
And it was really, I'd had all those health issues and things, and I was really working on my dating and relationship coaching business after that. And I'd just written a book, which, by the way, I will be republishing, and we'll talk about that another time. I'm zhuzhing it up because I know a lot more now than I did then in terms of how to get people to see the book. But anyway, during that time, we had a friend who had started doing weddings, who really probably should not have been doing weddings. But anyway, she said to me, you should really do weddings. I think you'd be really good at that. And I was like, it was like this, like, oh, moment. I was like, oh my God, I totally should. I think I would be really good at that. And it suits all my skills. I was an actress, a producer, a therapist. And in general, I just love, right? That's a huge part of my life. So I immediately created a website. I got myself ordained and registered with the state, and I had a booking the next day. And then it just sort of snowballed from there.
Wow.
And yeah.
Now, you are also available, and we never really talked about this, for consultation. So let's say somebody's thinking about it, but they haven't really made that full decision to go to Hawaii and have their ceremony there. They can hire you for the consultation, right? And just kind of talk things off.
Yeah. So, sorry, there's a ladybug right on my windowsill. It was very distracting. So yes, you can. I offer paid consultations. Often it's really good for people that are not sure. Maybe they have a larger party than I typically service. And then I can help point them in the right direction. Do they want to go with someone private? Do they want to go to a venue? I can always help people if they are at a certain venue, even if they have a large party, with just the ceremony part. And then also sometimes people are just not sure where to start. And so we'll sit down and we'll have a consultation together. I try to give them as much guidance and advice as possible, and referrals if necessary. I have people definitely that I can refer if it's not a fit for me. And if for some reason we end up, this is a good fit for us together, then what they have paid me for the paid consultation just goes toward whatever their wedding amount is. So I just apply that. So it's not like, I feel like I've had so many people who do the consultation and said, oh my gosh, you have saved me so much time. And this was so valuable to me. Even if we don't work together, my goal is that people feel like, now I know what to do, because it's really hard to find things online here, or to trust or to know. And that's part of what I offer as well. So, yeah.
What do you want somebody to know who's considering Hawaii? They're not really sure yet. They haven't, that's one choice. Maybe it's Caribbean, whatever it might be. They're just in the thinking stages right now. What should they know? What do you want them to know?
I think that, there are several things that they should know. You're going to get different experiences in different places. Like, you go to Mexico if you want something. If you want to ride horses on the beach and you want to have everything all inclusive and, and have it for a really reasonable price, Mexico is your place for that. I don't know about the Caribbean, maybe something similar there. We have a lot more restrictions on our beaches here. You can't have a bonfire. You can't drive on the beach. You can't, there's a lot of stuff you cannot do, which keeps our beaches really pristine. But the difference here is you are in Hawaii, which is such a special, unique location. You're so far away from everywhere. You really feel like it's just a really special place. The people are really warm and welcoming and inviting. It's just a magical place that is really hard to describe. Not that those other places are not special too, because they are in their own ways. It's just a different experience. Things here are a little more pricey, as should be expected. I mean, you are far away from everywhere. But it's worth it, is what I would say. So, yeah.
One of my final questions, will I ever like poi?
See, this is a question for the ages. I do not like poi.
This is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Although I have had it in a stew with potatoes, and it's spectacular. So, but otherwise, most people do not like poi. If you don't know, poi is like this gray, it's a root that's been pounded, and it's like this gray blobby substance. It's very acquired taste.
The only thing the few times that I've tried it, I just say, why? There's so many wonderful things to eat. Why?
Yeah, you don't have to eat it, Steve. That's all I'll say. Very starchy. You don't have to like it. So.
and I know you're trying to sell me on the stew and all that, but I just don't know if I would even. Again, there's so many Polynesian dishes and so much fantastic stuff out there. The poi thing just doesn't, do it for me. Pig roast, yeah, sign me up. I'll show up for that one. And I did. It was in Maui once. And my gosh, you can smell things from miles away. Like magical in some regards there.
Yeah.
So tell us the process to reach out to you, to connect with you. If somebody's pondering, if we're doing this, whatever the stage that they're in of their vow renewal, their wedding, how do we connect with you?
So the best thing is to go to my website, which is simple Kona, Kona, beach weddings with an S at the end of weddings. So weddings.com. Fill out the contact form. I will email you. Please check your spam box, because sometimes the response goes into spam. Like there's an initial response saying, I'll get back to you within 24 to 48 hours. And then I will email you as well. Always check your spam. For some reason, sometimes these things are filtered out. I always get back to you. Also, you can look at my Instagram, which is just at Simple Kona Beach Weddings on Instagram, and on Facebook, it's the same handle. So you can have a look there. I'm not as great at the messenger. I will message you from the messenger, but I prefer email, because then I don't lose anybody. And there's so much great information on my website as well, which is meant to help you.
There really is. And not only the website, but your social. Instagram we were looking at last week, and just like, whoa, like the pictures. If you're wondering what this is like, take a look at that, because even myself looking at them, I feel like I've been there. I feel like I've been part of some of those ceremonies. It's just the magic was captured, the emotion, the rainbows. Can't guarantee a rainbow, but it could happen. Just amazing. Becky, thank you so much for today and all the insight. Love your passion for this, and you're the safety net. That's what I consider you. You got to have one. You got to have one.
Yes.
All right. Appreciate it. We'll talk soon. Okay.
Sounds good.
Thank
okay.
you.
Aloha. Bye.
I've never said aloha.
Aloha.
Aloha. All right.
Hello and goodbye. Yes. Aloha.
We'll be right back.
Bye.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Hi, this is Terry Crews, actor, former football player, game show host, father of 5, and all-around big dude. I'm also an expert on drama. I know all kinds of drama. There's the good kind that comes with having a house full of kids. There's the bad kind, like season-ending injuries. There's the necessary kind, like having an agent in Hollywood. And there's silly drama, like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your high school diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org.
Or text diploma to 97779. Message and data rates may apply. Reply STOP to opt out. That's diploma to 97779. And leave the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.